I know you do, thank you. So let's start the meeting today, the joint meeting of the Planning and Development Subcommittee and Town Council, Tuesday, December 11th, 2018, 6:30. It's 6:30 in the Veterans Room. To be taking minutes, and this will be videotaped as well. So let's start off with agenda item number 1. We do have a quorum here. Vote to accept the joint Planning and Development Town Council Subcommittee minutes of October 30th, 2018.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any amendments to this at all, or any changes that you see, or corrections? I know Councilor Nash changed the E to A on chairman.
Who could do this, just like your asset?
Councilor Morales.
Morales, you guys?
Mhm.
Wow, nicely done.
Speaking of that, I was going to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Subcommittee
Pretty
minutes.
good.
Yeah, the only one thing that jumped out at me is under section number 4. I think, Paul, you specifically, it says you asked if any property values could decrease. I think you specifically said that your background said that they could decrease.
That they could or they couldn't?
That they could.
Oh, sure.
That's what I thought you said, not that you asked whether they could.
I know when David asked about, my company won't let me release the email that they sent to all of us.
Understood.
They won't let me release it. It's internal only, so I can't release it, but.
Understood. So is that, what change we?
Oh, I was just saying, because it says here that Paul King asked if any property values can decrease,
Oh.
but I thought he said that it specifically said that it could decrease,
Values.
which isn't quite the same thing,
Got
so.
Read like
But
this.
there was some, I think you said there were some issues about selling the property around.
Yeah, I think the one here is gonna be medical, right?
Yes.
So that's not gonna be like a ridiculous on Route 9 in Leicester, which would cause a much bigger problem.
Very controlled, very
Yeah, the
controlled.
one up in Leicester would cause a major problem, but that one, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be as bad. I think it'd be similar, like if you have a gas station next door to your house, it would just be, any commercial property near your house is always gonna be an issue, but.
So it's not specific.
Any other changes at all?
Okay. Okay.
Paul, anything? Anything? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? None.
How many members are there?
3-0.
3 in there.
All right, agenda item number 2, discuss the planning board's recommendation to appoint Terry Hensel, currently an alternate member, to full member effective immediately through June 30th, 2019, due to member resignation. And entertain a motion to vote to recommend to council.
So moved.
Second.
Ken, do you have?
Yes.
So, Paul, just so you know, we voted for her as an alternate on the planning board. 2 months ago?
Yeah.
It was 2 months
It
ago?
was the October 15th town council meeting, so I did bring copies. I will have this, I will be putting this in the town councilor's packets, or having Cheryl put them in the town councilor's packet for Monday.
So this is agenda item 2. We don't have it in our packet, so just so you know, that's yours.
You got that?
Any discussion at all?
The only question I had is who resigned?
Paul Mussey.
Paul? Okay. I had a feeling it was him. 'Cause I know
Yeah,
he was
he's
talking about it a
moving
while
to,
ago, so,
yeah,
Yeah.
he was waiting for the board to find an alternate.
Oh, okay.
So Terry was at the last planning board meeting, that just.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, so she's been sitting on the planning board as an alternate for,
Those are good questions. too.
yeah, about 3 months now, since the town council approved. But she was also attending meetings as a, citizen
Yeah.
prior.
Yeah, she was doing the right thing, getting involved, seeing how things happened for several months before she got involved, so that was good.
Quick question, Ken, this is up till next June, or this coming June. Now, if she wants to do it, it's gonna be a 3-year, right? After
Yeah,
that,
so this
appoint-
is to fill the
fill
remainder
the
of
ranks. Okay.
the other board member's term, and then it'll go through the process to get for a reappointment for next year.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? 3-0, passes. Do this every time, myself. All right, agenda item number 3, discuss contract change order slash extension request from B&W Paving and Landscaping LLC for Phase 1 of the Central Street parking lot construction, increasing the contract amount by $102,020. That's within the project budget, and extending the contract date to June 30th, 2019. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend the council to ratify the contract change order extension. Oh, you want to say, so moved. You can say so moved.
Also move.
If you want to continue with this.
Or you
Discuss
can
it.
Or
we
discuss.
can have a discussion first.
Well, we like to try to get
Yeah.
the motion done, and then, we're just, need a second. Second. All right, discussion.
Well, you want to liberate this thing?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry, Ron.
Yeah, we had to extend the project from December 31st to June 30th. As you know, we've gotten a tremendous amount of rain this fall, which delayed the parking lot work. And also, it took a little while longer for the structures for the drainage to come in. And then we also had, their contract was lower than expected. So we do have the extra money.
Done?
Yeah, we have the extra money, so we wanted to take some of the work that was gonna be done in Phase 2 and put it into Phase 1. What happened today doesn't affect that, does it?
So the phase, some extra lighting work that we're gonna do in Phase 2. Because we have extra money in Phase 1, we want to do the work in Phase 1, that gives us more contingency in Phase 2.
So they're moving up. Or anybody else have any questions?
I think you could.
Oh, I'll hold off. Gus, go ahead.
Well, I have a couple of questions. One of them was, I mean, you mentioned the lights, so do you mean that they're actually going to be doing the light work in this phase, or are they just doing the engineering light for the light work?
No, they're gonna be doing the light in this phase, if this is approved. Originally in Phase 1, we were just gonna be doing the conduits.
Right.
Now we're gonna actually put the,
The light
Fixtures.
Yeah, which is good because it doesn't leave the conduits open to vandalism, whatever.
Okay.
So, we were going to put the lights, there are 10 of them that we're able to do with this money.
get to sign
Okay. And I actually have,
Oh,
go ahead, or I don't have it.
Well, it's only, just, you just give it to Ian.
Yeah, also, I was curious, because it mentions in here, all easement-related work with respect to coordination with the butters, blah, blah, blah. I was curious about that, because why weren't the easements planned for initially? I mean, it seems like that would have been part of the original project.
Where are you reading?
Right here.
I don't know what that is.
oh, that's,
It's in our
That's-
packet.
All these
it's
for
dated
Phase
November
1 are
30th.
complete.
That's agenda item number 4.
November 1, the central parking lot improvement project, yes. I mean, these two seem to be tied together, these two are tied together.
They are tied together. We're on agenda item number 3. That's item number 4.
So Gus, just so you understand what the easements, all the easements for Phase 1 are completely done.
we're done.
The only Phase 2 easement we're still working on is one with Hunter Cross, otherwise they're all done too.
Okay.
They did that
We
before
have all
the
the
contract.
That's what I thought,
Yeah,
it was-
that was
that's
all
why,
done.
that's why I was asking, because logic, that's when you do it at the beginning.
That's
I'm
what
not sure where you're doing it, I
So-
just know they're done, but I don't
Yeah.
see exactly where the wording is, it says it.
But it's under
Must
number
be one of
4.
It's
these.
item number 4, but it did seem like it was something was tied in.
They do tie into each other.
Yeah.
But we're on 3, so let's go ahead and discuss that. Anything else on this at all? Any other discussion? I know about the 10 lights, we discussed that already, that you're just moving up Phase 2, Phase 2 area to a Phase 1, that funds, to go and do the lighting. All right, and we're extending the contract to June 30th, 2019 because of the weather and all the rain that's come down and the holdup, so. Anybody else have any other discussions or questions or whatever it may be? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? These are passed. Now, this one does lead into from 3, so.
Right.
Agenda item number 4, discuss amendment request number 1 from GCG Associates Incorporated for additional engineering/oversight services for Phase 1 for the Central Street parking lot, increasing the contract by $3,705 within project budget and extending the contract to June 30th, 2019. Entertain a motion to vote. All right, go ahead. Discussion.
Okay, this is for the engineer. Since we're extending the contract with B&W, the oversight will be extended to June 30th as well. So this, or we'd like the engineer to be extended to June 30th. So the extra $3,700 is to pay them, pay the engineer.
Because of the extension. Any questions or discussions about this?
Well, he kind of.
Yeah, and I will say, they did, this project was even starting out, I know it took a little bit of time to get the owners for the easements to agree with all that, but it was all taken care of. There was a couple holdouts for a second, but
Yeah, I was curious.
they worked that out.
That was just weird and strange, and why do they need, why is that included then, if it's already been done?
Where are you reading it?
He's reading it where it says all easement related work with respect to coordination.
Yeah.
But all that's really done except for the Hunter Foot one, everything else is done, so
Yeah.
it's very minor. It's
Right.
It's part of their duties, but it's pretty much already
There's
done.
two properties
Yeah.
owned by Hunter that we haven't gotten his signatures on yet.
But other than that, they're all done.
That was the actual, yes, there's still holding out.
Yeah, luckily for that one, we can wait till the.
Well, yeah,
Second
we don't
phase.
want him to know that, and so
Right.
we have to start pushing
Yeah,
again.
we're already driving them to do it already.
Okay, all right. That's something we'll follow up on that one. Yeah, go ahead, Council.
Also, where it mentions here, the application and certificate of change order, it says contract is Chestnut Street parking lot.
Yeah, I know, I
I know.
found that, that was a mistake on our part.
So we'll make that change.
Because that was a project they also worked on for us.
Yeah, I know.
They kind of combined Chestnut Street with Central Street parking lot.
All right, we'll have to change that.
Yeah, don't worry
about that. Yeah, okay. All right. Any other, more discussion at all? Good? All right. All those in favor? Opposed? 3-0 passes. Agenda number 5, discuss amendment request number 2, change order from GCG Associates Incorporated for additional engineering / oversight services for Phase 2 of the Central Street parking lot project, increasing the contract by $36,765 with all services to be completed by December 31st, 2019. And entertain a motion to vote. Recommend the council ratify. All right, any discussion? Yes, sir.
What meeting is this one for?
This is for the CDBG.
Okay, do you know where the school one is?
It's gonna go upstairs,
Upstairs?
right there. All right, discussion.
Okay. GCG, well, we're gonna need an engineer for the Phase 2 design for landscaping. And GCG provided us with a price, a quote to do that. Heather also sent a request to 2 other companies to give us quotes. We haven't heard from them yet. So if we don't hear from them, then we'll go, providing that it's approved, we'll go with GCG engineering.
Is it a requirement to have 2 more quotes?
No. So, yeah, I just want to make that point, engineering services along with, there's some other types of services are exempt from 30B regulations. One of the reasons for that is because a lot of work is phased.
Right.
So when you have an engineer working on a first phase, it would make no sense to go with another engineering firm who has to kind of come up to speed.
Yeah.
And in fact, these 2 phases are going to be overlapping because of what we just asked you to do, which was to extend the Phase 1 contract. But, because we, want to make sure that we're always doing our due diligence and getting the best prices possible, Heather is contacting 2 other very reputable companies. And a lot of times they'll say, Phase 2, why don't you just go with the Phase 1, engineer that you use. But it's their option to respond if they want.
Yeah, with those comments, I want to explain this a little bit in terms of why I've asked them to get the extra 2 quotes. So let me explain to you why I asked this, right? So I have a basic practice with all department heads, and any project we do, we always ask for additional quotes, trying to get 3 quotes. Rosemary's absolutely right, that in these kind of phase projects, you usually always go with the vendor. The reason I asked to get 2 quotes, we don't even know if in fact somebody will give them to us, because In fact, because they were the engineer on the first phase, they can give a lot cheaper price than somebody coming in brand new and trying to start the project in phase two. The purpose of trying to get it close though is because an engineer, in theory, could just raise the price whatever they want to. And we would have no idea what the price is, right? So because they know they're getting phase two, they just bump up the engineering price. So I wanted to have at least 2 other quotes potentially to make sure that we keep them honest, that we know that the quotes are accurate. So in fact, we don't have to do this, but it's a little extra precaution just to make sure that no engineer ever raises the price on us and tries to burn us because they know they're gonna get the project, right? So it's just part of being competitive, and I thought it was a good practice to keep that in place. Plus, truthfully, I want my staff to always think that they need 3 quotes no matter what. I really want them to get in that habit and never change from that particular habit, so.
So do you have any particular deadline for those quotes?
No, the quotes are, Heather, did you give them a
I
timeline?
haven't even
on
had a
that?
chance to send them out.
Okay, so the quotes won't, you know what, quickly, because to be honest with you, we're expecting that they're not even gonna give us quotes probably.
Yeah.
But if they do, she'll send them out, we'll give them like a week or 2 weeks to do it, but we're gonna, truthfully, we're gonna move forward with this company,
Yeah.
and that's what we're gonna do.
And I will be honest, you are not gonna get a cheaper price than that, and they're not going to be able to provide it would take so much for them to get up to speed on what we've already done there that
Sure.
They're already behind.
you're kind of shooting yourself in the
Yeah,
foot.
that's why I'm not worried about it. The quotes is more of
I
a
get that.
practice for me with my department managers than it is for reality, just, you know.
So under those circumstances, then, if we're shifting the lighting to phase one, how are we going to be changing phase two?
Well, phase two will then have a contingency, the contingency fund will be larger, so we can look at that point to see if there's any work that maybe we weren't sure we wanted to do, and we can maybe add, or if we have surplus, we can figure that out, but we don't know if phase two could come out more expensive than we thought, right? So it gives us that bigger, bigger buffer, or if we feel like we need to add some lighting or signage, we'll have some buffer to do that. But we'll come back to you for that if we have to do that.
How does that tie into the fact that you sent us an email about that tank?
New business.
All right, so I was gonna wait, but let me kind of,
So-
other issues.
Yeah, let's make that quick, because we can bring that up on the business.
Yeah, that's quick, and that's what thought. The Heather, or the company working on it, found an underground gasoline tank today. And we're still getting information, but Heather did look at the maps. It turns out it's completely on Parquette's property, so it's not ours. So Heather's already reached out to Parquette and talked to them about what they gotta do to remove the tank and those issues. As you know, when you deal with gasoline tanks, DEP's involved and all that crap, and it's a whole different deal. So we're gonna be reaching out to Parquette. We're told that Parquette's in the process of selling that building. So now it's gonna be an issue between Parquette and the people he's selling it to. But that gives even more emphasis for them to take care of the problem, right? Because the new owner won't buy it with that problem in the bank. So the new owner's gonna be wanting that resolved before they close the deal. So that's where we're at, but this all just happened today, so it's kind of fresh for us we're gonna work it through.
Is conservation aware of this? Does it affect the brook?
No,
It does.
It's in there, Brooke. I don't know.
I mean, it's near the brook, because the brook's underground, but it doesn't affect it. We don't know that it's leaking, we don't know anything. The brook's in a pipe there, so we don't have any evidence of it leaking in or anything
Okay,
at that
well,
point,
that's
so.
We think the tank has been drained, but there's water in the tank, and of course, if there's any oil, it'll all be in the water, so that water in the tank is gonna have to be turned off, but we don't suspect there's any gasoline actually in the tank.
Oil.
Oil in the
It's
tank.
not a gasoline tank.
I'm sorry, oil in the tank.
Okay, that's good.
We have made contact with different representatives from Paquette, and I did speak to somebody who's very close to them, well, 2 people, and they are working on getting quotes to have the tank removed, so they're fully aware of it. And the fire
They're
department,
already aware?
no, just from my, trust me, word travels very fast in this town.
All right,
Especially when we're all over them going, ah!
Fire
So-
department's aware of it.
The fire department's aware of it, and is going to send a letter to put them on notice that it has to be removed. So that's the formal process, that they will notice them. I think it's gonna happen way before that, just because you've already had somebody approach
I had a
you.
contractor in my office today asking me about the procedures for removing the tank.
So Gus, the
So,
answer is we
what-
feel no impact of the budget because it's not our responsibility.
so let's move along with the agenda. I got it, so we want to add that for new business. I don't want to have to reiterate everything, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion at all?
Just one more observation in the paperwork is that dates conflict. You've got December 31st in one or 2 places and in January 31st in
Yeah,
another
so
place.
January 31st or January
December
1st?
31st.
Well, actually, I think you've got all 3 of them. Hold on a second.
Under the fee, the contract will be extended till January 31st,
Yeah.
2020.
2020, yes,
And then you've
December
got-
31st,
It was just an error,
2019.
it's December 31st.
And then the amendment 2 says December 31st, 2019.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's the correct one.
And
So do we need to change that fee before it comes to the town council? That date underneath
Which
it?
document is it on?
It's on document number 5, GCG Associates Incorporated.
Let me see, that's for the,
Where's the actual,
Under
oh,
fee,
right
which
here.
is
Yeah,
third
so
page,
we'll
it's
just make
December
sure.
31st,
Is it
the
January
amendment
31st
number
or
2.
Yeah, but it's this one, Rose, it's this letter. November
GCG
30th.
submittal says January
The
31st.
fee here says January 31st, 2020 under fee.
Right.
And that should say what?
December
Well,
31st,
it's already-
2019.
Yeah, I changed it to, it's
Oh,
December
it didn't get
31st.
changed on their copies?
Right, it's, I found it after.
So we already know that a
Okay.
couple of things like that are incorrect, so have you already got, you probably haven't gotten that on
I
yet.
see.
It's on the vacation, so you need
And that one
to
also
share
says
all right
Tri-Century
away.
Park. Tomorrow.
Well, I'll have to get a new one from GCG.
Yeah.
They're the ones that-
Yeah, they're the
Yeah,
ones.
they're the ones that.
Okay,
Yeah.
hey, what'd you say,
School?
Gus? What was the other one?
Oh, and also, the other contract
Are you looking for
also
school?
says Tri-Century Park.
Upstairs.
All right, so,
Go to the front and go up the stairs.
yeah, the paperwork needs to be updated.
Yeah, so we found it and
They were-
she's fixed it on her copy, and we're gonna get all the originals fixed and they'll get to, they will absolutely be fixed. for
The
you.
letter part of this is not important to the actual contract part. The contract part where you have to have the right dates.
Right.
All right, and the amount of money.
And
The
our
contract date is mine
contracts-
is scratched out January 30th and December 31st, it's scratched out, which is okay as long as both parties initial it.
Right, and also your 37, I think it said 37,765, that's got changed, penciled by.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine says 36,000.
All right, maybe they're changed, probably,
Yeah, that's correct, 36,765
Right.
is correct.
okay.
Clean, so, you know,
Yeah,
Or-
we'll do that.
make sure. both
All right, is there
parties
any other questions, discussions? Quick question, I do have one. We talked about getting the second and third estimates, or does it normally come back, do they normally come back to these companies and say, hey, I want to bid on this, even though they know they're going to be behind?
No.
Okay, got it, just that's the question. All right. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? 3-0. All right, number 6. Discuss CDBG fiscal year 2019 grant application for a total amount of $825,000 and entertain a motion to vote to recommend that council approve the following proposed activities and associated preliminary estimates. Code enforcement officer inspections, inspection department, $27,000. Code enforcement officer, health department, $30,000. Commercial improvements for signage, awning, and facades, $60,000. Main Street reconstruction and traffic signal work, $590,931. And administration, $117,069 for the total amount of $825,000. Alright.
Can I
So,
just-
first of all,
Can I just start? Oh, sorry.
I need to entertain a vote, or a motion.
So,
So,
do you mind if I just start? Okay, all right, so what I want to do, I'm just going to give a quick overview. So what we did was we looked at some funds that we're already providing to the code enforcement officer in the building inspections. And the second one is actually code enforcement health inspections. So they're both inspections, one's building, one's health. So we'll clarify that for the actual, so the paperwork that's going to come to the town council. So we're carrying that over, and Andy is here to talk about why that's needed. And then commercial improvements, which is another way of putting that, is commercial rehab. That's what you're used to seeing, that signs, awning, and facades. We increased that a little bit. And then this much larger project, which Heather's going to speak to, is basically, you know, is what most of the rest of the money would go for, because that would be a very expensive project. But we don't have an actual estimate, a detailed estimate of that, because this is preliminary, what we're discussing right now. And then the admin, so we get Department of Housing and Community Development actually tells us that we can use a higher percentage of our money for admin than what we are using. But that goes towards salaries, it goes towards different types of oversight, it goes towards the cost that we pay every month on our copier, a lot of admin type things, advertising. So I just wanted to kind of give you that, a little bit of an overview first.
So before we go into the big one, I appreciate it, I'd like to go over probably step by step of I know that there's counselors that were asking to be part of this, and I know I have been, and to see if there's any, I think one of the biggest things, how did you come, besides the code enforcement, the administrative side, and even possibly the commercial improvements, how did you guys come about with this idea? I think that some of the counselors were concerned that they wanted to be part of the idea itself of forming a plan for the CDBG money. So,
It's actually because counselors have brought this up before, about the bumps on Main Street caused by what they call shoving, with trucks braking going down. It's been brought up by town councilors, so we knew this is something that they were
And
interested
the
in.
concern about the lighting.
And the lighting, right, because,
Cycling of the lights and the
Right.
pedestrian crossings and all of those, so that's
So it
all
seems-
part of this.
yeah, it seemed like, and it's, it's in our downtown, it's related to other work that we're doing downtown, like the Central Street parking lot. In our downtown is one of our main target areas for light. So it just seemed like a natural thing.
does anybody want to discuss this at all? I was just going to kind of go over
I mean,
some
she'll
of these
get into the
things.
details, I just wanted to give.
And I appreciate the details. I think it's one of those things where you go, okay, what areas can you utilize this money for? Because there's a lot of people, as citizens come up and said, this is what I like, and you
Tell them
get
the
the
different
ideas.
target areas that you have.
Yeah, so the target areas are the downtown, which goes as far east, I guess you would say, as Foster Street, but it actually stops, I don't know why, but it stops at the road, and it doesn't actually include the parcels to the east of Foster Street,
Right.
okay? And then it goes as far north as, well, south of Henry Street. I don't remember exactly how far up it goes. And then it ends on the south of Main Street where, do you know? Or is it right at Main Street?
It's right around Cumberland Farms.
Well, as far as going west, it ends at Cumberland Farms. A little bit further west than that.
Further
A
up.
little bit, not as far up as Marcy. Sorry, we should have brought maps of the target areas. So that, and there's two types of target areas. There's slum and blight, and to get a target area designated as that, you have to do a survey, which is very time consuming. It's parcel by parcel inventory with photographs and a description of what that building looks like. So this downtown target area was designated several years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago. And then we have the Globe Village area that is also a target area for the same type of national objective, the slum and blight, and that's our newest target area. That's probably been, it was about 2 years ago that was designated.
It's by mill and all that kind of stuff.
And that, yeah, so that starts, there's a gap between where the downtown ends, the downtown target area ends, and the Globe Village begins. It begins somewhere around where Hamilton Street, Mill Street, and Main kind of come together.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the Sturbridge town line, and it's up a little bit north of there, maybe to River Street. And then it doesn't go that far south of Main Street. And
So just to throw this out here, downstairs you have a map, right? And it
Yes.
tells us about the redevelopment areas that are targeted.
yeah, and that's a different,
But it's different, but it's almost in the same
as
vicinity,
downtown,
right?
almost,
Okay.
a little smaller.
Do you want me to go get copies?
If you want a map, I got one on the wall in my office.
Anybody want to,
Of the target area of the?
you're okay?
Okay, those areas.
All right, Paul, you
Oh.
okay? You want a map or not? Okay. I think we got an idea.
Okay, so the other two are for low and moderate income neighborhoods, which is a slightly different type of national objective, and they're neighborhoods. So one is the Henry Street,
Morris Coombs and Worcester Henry.
yeah, and then another one which is Chestnut and,
Well, Morris Coombs is one.
oh, okay,
And Worcester Henry is the
right,
other.
okay.
Okay.
But in terms of a project, because we're doing so much in our downtown, to do with road, transportation parking lot. We've got the Hook, La Rochelle parking intersection that we're, moving ahead on. And so we just thought, speaking to DPW and hearing, what town councils have said, we thought it would make sense to try to do a combination of paving and upgrading the signalization, so to try to eliminate some of the backups.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I only have a few questions. That's not a state,
No, it's not a state road. The state road, I'll answer your question before you even ask it, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. State road ends here, even though it's numbered 131,
Yeah.
it ends actually at the bridge in Globe Village where they just repaired the bridge and starts again, state road starts again at the Golden Creek basically and out from there. So that is not considered state road.
okay.
And it also, 169 ends basically where they stopped the project, the state stopped the project last year, where it's nice and then it gets bad again. Yeah, that's where state road ends.
Okay.
There is a little sign, there's actually a little sign that say end of state roads, but you don't really see them if you're not looking at them.
Oh, you
Okay,
don't?
because you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
So my other thing is, the utility work. Are they in at
So,
all? Have they been approached?
National Grid has already started work on Main Street.
Well, I'm talking about money for resurfacing.
So they are supposed to resurface, but only by a grind and pave. If,
Right, but are they kicking in any money to assist
We
with this?
haven't-
Because you're doing curb to curb, aren't you?
Yes.
Full milling, full.
yes,
Right.
we haven't approached them yet. We will hopefully get some money out of them.
Yeah.
It may be this, just with the timing of this project, that they're not going as far as we need to go.
Right, but if they can, what I'm saying is, if they can kick in something, I
And
mean.
we'll approach them on that.
CDBG is wonderful, but I know Chapter 90 funds are.
And this project is going to far probably exceed that 590 if we actually extend it to where we want to, because we want to go all the way up to a little past South and
Yeah.
come all the way down Marcy and then go all the way to Everett Street. So we're already expecting my department to have to put in Chapter 90 funds for the area outside of it. So yes, but I can tell you with the lighting, just ballpark numbers that we've looked with full depth and putting the new lights and the new crosswalk lights and all of that in, it's gonna be a good probably, $700,000. So it'll exceed
For
this
2 intersections or 1?
for 3 and more than 2, going, because we want to go all the way up to
Okay,
Marcy.
so Marcy,
South,
oh, okay.
Right.
South
Right, the top all the way
Marcy.
down to Everett.
yeah.
That's all I can. that's all.
Everett.
Yeah.
So the discussions that, my theory is that we would marry the funds together. We bid the project out knowing that we have CDBG funds and Chapter 90 funds. And whatever CDBG allows us to use for the area, then we'll maximize the funding that we can get there.
And squeeze National Grid for
And
whatever.
squeeze
they're-
National Grid, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, that whole National Grid thing is, they got shut down, so their work is not complete.
Right.
But we actually have at least 6 months of engineering before we start.
Well, because, and they're gonna have to,
Finish their
once
work
they're
before.
approved to keep going, they're gonna finish their work, because you're not gonna be,
Yeah.
moratorium on the road, you're not gonna be
Right.
letting them
Right.
dig
Exactly.
into your brand new road.
So this is gonna be, sorry to interrupt, this is gonna be in 2020, we're looking at more so than not next year, because we're doing phase 2 of the Central Street parking.
Correct. This
So
is
it'll be the following
2020.
year,
So
hopefully.
we have
National
a
Grid
little bit
will
of time to,
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll just explain, this application is due March 1st. We usually would hear that we've been awarded somewhere around August, and we get the contract somewhere around September or October. And so what we would do is we need to hit the ground running to go up, to get GCG going with the design for
or the engineer that's selected.
or the engineer that's selected,
Right.
for phase, sorry.
Good.
Right, this is 19.
See, you know what? I got a little thrown by all the GCG work, sorry. So forget I said GCG. That's the parking lot. Whoever the engineering firm is, we're gonna have to hit the ground running going out to do to find one and get a contract, and then get that design done, so that in the following, at the beginning of the following construction season in 2020, they can actually start the work. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And then we'll be able to piggyback off of your chapter 90.
Yep.
Any, for whoever you have for
Yep.
your contractor for that fiscal year, we can
Yep.
so we won't have to do procurement twice.
No, what you would do is you do procurement for this project. You wouldn't do is probably so we wouldn't do it just under our contract bid because it's gonna be very specific, for the paving, the lighting and everything. You'd bid out one big contract. We wouldn't use our regular one because it's, with the lighting and everything in it, you're gonna want one contractor responsible for
Just
it.
pay the difference between the CDBG.
You would just
funds
bid
and
it as a
total cost,
project,
right?
like we bid parking lot, or like we bid Central Street or anything else. We didn't do it as a paving contract, we did it as this is the contract for the project. But that's still acceptable under chapter 90, we'd be filing all the bidding rules. We would just say when we fill our chapter 90 forms is that, yes, part of this project is being funded under CDBG, and they'll be like, oh, good, you didn't come just to us, but, you know.
And vice versa.
And that's what CDBG is gonna, PhD is gonna say too.
They like to see these partnerships where you're,
Well, each side is leveraging, you know, more money.
so we're actually saving because we don't have to do two procurements and things of that nature.
Right, okay, good.
Any other questions? Councilor Steves?
Just a quick clarification. So just, if I understood you properly, you're saying that the signalization is going to be including the South Street, Marcy Street, all of these intersections, because they've all been messed up for a long time.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the plan, I mean, that's our concept now. We have to do a lot of engineering.
Oh, I
We're a
heard
very
that.
high level concept, but there's a lot of engineering that's gonna have to go into this. And honestly, I don't know if they can be coordinated together.
Okay.
I know that we can get better coordination. We've already had preliminary conversations with some engineers about using video detection instead of what we use now as loops.
Mhm.
That's what we're talking about. By using video detection, it will be actually able to tell us if there's cars in the queue, and that tells you, meaning line, and it tells you how long, and it has some programming in it.
Mhm.
You know, it's challenged just because the elevation, the two signals can't talk to each other
Right.
easy, and that's not gonna change.
Right. And I was actually gonna ask about the video thing too.
That is the concept, is that we would be using video detection for cycling the lights.
So
That
it-
doesn't mean that you're doing video surveillance of the intersection.
How
That's
does-
totally different.
How would it, how would that be effective as far as, for example, bikers and pedestrians go?
Well, pedestrians will still use a signalized light button that will interrupt the signal. That doesn't change.
But would the video be able to pick up, say, a biker coming down the street?
Yeah, I assume, I mean, they're using it now, not my expertise.
A bicyclist.
Yeah.
As long as they're in the proper lane and not on the sidewalk, probably.
Right.
Councilor Steves, you got anything else?
Not for that issue, although I did have one quick question regarding the code enforcement. Just to clarify, for that one too, so I know that you're already doing it. Could you kind of summarize how well the program has gone so far?
We are running about 70% effective on those that we've contacted and those we've done inspections.
The building inspections.
The building inspections.
Yeah,
We are, he's sent out orders to correct on the violations that he's observed. We are prepared now to take the non-compliant or the non-responsive ones into court and see if we can get the courts to order them to register for the program. We've got about 600 units or 600 structures of multifamily dwellings, and we're doing 1/5 of them each year.
Mhm.
So, been at it since March he came in, March or April he came in. And we're actually very pleased with the progress he's made. He's built the program. We've got him doing some of the places of assembly also.
Okay.
So it's a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for?
good use of the money.
Beneficial?
Beneficial program, good proactive program to
Yeah.
hopefully prevent.
Think
some
about that
bad
small
conditions.
money and
Right.
what it's doing, and it sends a message to
Well, Word's getting out.
Well, that's what we were hoping
Yeah.
to do when we
Yeah.
approved it originally. Also, so is he doing any of the health department stuff now, or is that being added to him, or is that gonna be a separate person?
He is not the person, the extra 30,000 we're asking for is essentially a restructuring of the inspector recycling coordinator job that we used to have and was funded by Casella.
Mhm.
With the closing of the landfill, that's not funded anymore.
Right.
So the town was dedicating $21,000 to that position. I have asked for consideration for CDBG, both in the budget year, which was approved at last year's budget meeting, to get CDBG to fund an additional $30,000, bringing the job down from $72,000 to a more realistic $50,000, $50,500, I believe. Using the $30,000 from the town side that they were contributing and supplementing with CDBG funds for the offset amount.
Okay, just so the combination here, it says 57,000, you mentioned 50,500, is the other 6,500 going to benefits?
No, he,
No,
what he
so-
meant was.
7,000 is building inspections.
Yeah, your agenda, so you actually are envisioning two separate people doing this.
There's
Oh,
two
there
separate
are.
people.
Yes.
Okay.
We've actually already
I
replaced
should say.
with program funds.
Okay.
We've replaced the inspector, and it's a full-time housing inspector now.
Okay.
This
Okay.
basically rounds out the proactive on the building side by getting in there and seeing it before it gets blighted, and the reactive on the Board of Health side by responding to complaints.
So just so you know, that the inspector's office, you know, that's a 27,000, all CDBG. If we go to the health, it's gonna be split a little bit in half.
Right, that's-
Okay, all right, so there's two different people for that.
Good.
Can I just confirm, so do you consider that you have two departments?
I am a single department of two divisions.
Okay, so would you, what is more accurate to say?
My budgets are,
Inspection.
because the Board of Health answers to EHS and the building department answers to PPP, my budgets are separate.
Okay, so would you like it to be called department or building inspections and health inspections, or building department and health department?
It's inspectional services, Department of Public Health, Department of Inspections and Zoning.
I guess we can discuss this at another time.
Well, just to be clear though, that this needs to, when it comes up to the agenda item, we may have to amend this to, well, I mean, we're gonna approve one thing, and it may be wrong here, but if we're gonna approve this tonight, if it goes through, then, but if we have different wording on the town council side, we got a
Let me
problem.
show Andy.
Inspections is considered public safety, and
I-
health is considered
Just so that we would know.
education and human services, they're separate.
Two separate things.
Yeah.
This is Alicia, health department.
Yes. It falls under
For
two separate
accounting,
budgets.
right, for accounting, for
So the
supporting,
way it says,
everything
the
like
way it's
that.
on there is fine, it says inspections department, health department,
Right.
Ed knows what those
Okay.
are.
So as long as you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Anybody? So I had a couple, questions. Goddard Street, Mr. Duke brought up the fact that you're going down from Cumberland's all the way to Everett, somewhere around there, but now National Grid is doing, there's a Goddard?
Yep.
That they're going down that way, now they're gonna be responsible for paving that
Yeah.
sidewalk, okay. So we won't be in each, hopefully it'll be done next year, and it won't be in our way the following year, okay. ADA appliance, I know we talked about that a little bit, because of those, I think it's Central Street we've got issues with, is it?
Yeah.
We're looking at that. What about the lighting? Is that all gonna change? Because I've seen it before where it'll make the sound, as they walk across the street and all that kind of stuff?
We can consider all of that in the design.
Okay, just asking.
We're not going super far down Central Street because,
The other transportation project.
well, right, we don't want to get too close to where they are, and we talked a little bit about the sidewalks in Central Street and what we would have to do. So unless you're willing to let me cut down every single tree
We talked about the trees, I know, I got it.
and make it all, or take width of the road, which I don't think anybody's gonna let me do that
Wait, just so
either.
you know, I did ask about how the parking, the old style parking.
On
That'd be
Main
great. I got an education on a few things, so.
Yeah, you can't, big issues you can't back up and.
Yeah, I would love to have it,
Though,
but
you
it's
know what?
really.
I was just on the street where they have that now.
Yeah.
The only other,
Oxford still has it.
the asphalt going down the hill,
They have an extra lane.
real quick, the asphalt going down the hill, obviously that's 20 years and it's been beaten down and everybody says cement and, I've seen all kinds of stuff. Can you explain to me is it gonna be cement or is it gonna be asphalt? I know the cement would cost us about $1 billion.
And I actually don't know that it would cost us $1 billion.
I'm just kidding.
That would be part of the design evaluation, but I will tell you my opinion of cement. You have to remember, we have other utilities under that road.
Mhm.
So if you put cement down that hill and one of those utilities breaks, I want to know how we're going to fix it.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
So obviously
I
what
do
you're
not
saying to me
think-
is it's harder to cut than it would be for the asphalt and then patch it back then.
And then you'd have to recast the cement and it's never going to be strong and you're talking about doweling it, you're talking about a much more complicated and much longer repair to something if it happens. I understand why everybody says cement because they did it on Route 20. Route 20 takes a lot higher speed of traffic, a lot more traffic load, and it was probably warranted there, and it's a lot longer hill. You know, I'm not gonna say it's not going to be recommended cement, but I will also tell you that there are new pavement designs that DOT is recommending that have for different types of situations. One of the situations is where you would have this type of an incline, so it has a specific design, and that will be part of the engineer's evaluation and recommendations.
Okay, thank you. And 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Talking about surveillance. Is that one of those things, you look at the engineering design, would you be with the police department and anything like that? Because I know they take pictures here and there. I know there's a lot of cities that actually do the pictures. They don't per se give the ticket to the person, but they give the ticket to the, it's sort of like a little warning saying you move through the light. Or you
Yeah.
may receive it.
Yeah, we can definitely look at it. I don't know, that's probably a whole nother higher level of controls because now you're talking about not just knowing to turn a switch on and off to turn a light, but to take a
Right.
picture. And
I just didn't know if that may be part of the engineering study or plan.
We can ask them to give us an idea of what the costs are, but, and if,
Especially because everybody's speeding and there's been a few accidents and issues down. in
oh,
that
well,
area.
then one other thing that we will look at in that section of road is we did have what's called a road safety audit done on Main Street back when we did our, the one also in Central and Hook, so we have that as a documentation, so we'll be looking at the recommendations that were put in there. And some of
Yes.
those had to do with the crosswalk configurations, and there's things that we can do, like excuse me, the one that's near Big Bunny that has that flashing, where you the pet in the middle and it would flash so that people will know that there are people there. So there's different things that we
Yeah.
could look at doing as part of this project to address those road safety audit concerns,
So-
which should
Right.
help with some of the crosswalk safety issues.
So I know there was a study done when we talked about the downtown area, about how many cars go through that Main
yeah, that's
Street
all in-
per day and all that, okay.
Okay.
Last question, I'm sorry to keep everybody, but I was asked about the administrative side. There recently, maybe the town manager can answer this, and somebody's had that we're looking at a CDBG coordinator, because Rose is retiring in February, we discussed all that. But they had mentioned to me that there was, this money was supposed to just go to Rosemary to take over the CDBG.
No.
Just asking the question, I wanted
So my understanding is part of Rosemary's salary administration, a small part of it
A
goes to
little over
CDBG.
30%.
All of her salary, Rose's salary is CDBG, and then when Debbie was here, all of Debbie's salary was under CDBG. So that's the administrative staff. We'll talk about Debbie's position later as we get more into that.
From what I
do
was-
some work with that.
So what I was told, not that it's always right or whatever it may be, but it was supposed to be basically Rosemary taking over, and this would cut down the cost and more back into the
No,
food
it's
system.
never the intention, as long as I know, right?
I have to do all that wonderful economic development stuff.
It's not remotely possible.
Yeah, that's there, I just asked the question.
Can I ask just one more
Thank
question related to Main Street? How old is our utility infrastructure under there? Do you know? I'm not gonna ask.
I
100 years
know
old,
some
is
of it is very old, so we will do that as part of the evaluation.
Okay.
And if it needs to be done, we'll marry it into the project.
Right, I'm a big
Yeah.
person on that,
I
like,
know,
you're
no, I am
redoing a
too, I don't
road.
wanna have to go
Everything
through it.
done.
So we
Right.
already have
You all-
identified some of the valving in Main Street as being extremely old, we already knew that, so we already have some money in the water budget to do valves, so.
Yeah,
We have money there that we'll put into the project too, water and sewer.
okay, good.
It'll be part of the evaluation, but.
It's nice to have all, to get a project done and
Not have to
merge
worry
all
about
your
it.
pools of money
Yeah.
together to get
Yeah,
it
that's why
done.
I'm
We're
trying
gonna
to
do it
Yeah.
right the first
We also
time.
have to,
Yeah.
we also have to look at drainage going across the street, since usually Brook does go through there, so I will be having somebody evaluate that, because I don't need that to fail on me. Although the condition of it in Central Street parking lot makes me feel a lot better, because I have seen the inside of the pipe. It's not looking too bad. It's a nice big RCP pipe, so as long as it's like that going underneath the street, I'm all good.
Talk to Mike Lund, he actually crawled through.
I know, I've heard it, he's crawled through
Mike did?
multiple times.
Yeah.
So,
right.
can I just respond to one of your questions?
Yes.
So,
I'll get
let
that.
everybody know that we have posted the position of the CDBG coordinator. We've gotten in over a dozen resumes. They don't always attach their application in the beginning, and Kim Farron has to request that they do that. I can tell you that we have at least one where they have CDBG experience. However, they haven't worked for a few years in the field. But, so I don't know, so I just wanted to make sure, especially since someone
You've seen
asked
it.
you if I was gonna be doing CDBG.
So no, that was not, were you gonna be, well, the intent when you were hired on was to take over completely the CDBG. So that's the information that was passed on to me, I'm just asking the question. Got it? Okay,
If
thank you.
anything, it was exactly the opposite.
We'd be in the same boat as we were where
That
Sandy was
Sandy was
doing
doing
3
both.
jobs.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
She'll need the extra money for medication.
Yeah.
Trust me, been there.
Cancel that, go ahead.
Yeah.
Should be committed.
Right.
Is there any need to do anything with the Everett Street intersection?
Not as far as signalization, no, we wouldn't be looking to signalize it. But we'd be going that far as pavement wise. I would hesitate. Honestly, everybody thinks signalization makes it better. It actually makes it far worse.
Well,
You take all the signals out.
Would the engineer look into things like maybe
Like
making
how
a
it's
turn only intersection?
Right.
Hold on, guys.
I mean, they can look at, evaluate it. Anything like that you do is going to cause a major uproar in the town.
Well,
I'm just,
but it's an
I
uproar right now.
can tell you,
So it's
roads, it
basically
should be
nothing.
one way and no parking, so you pick your pick. Hamilton Central, what do you want, one way or no parking? They don't meet
Then
any
we can park on the
requirements.
sides, like, you know, to make it
If
central.
you make them one
one
way, you can park on the sides and do the angled parking.
See, I'll get it sooner or later. Is that all you have, Councilor?
Yep, thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, one more quick question. Heather, do you see any possibility of using impervious surface on Main Street?
No,
No.
absolutely not, because it would never hold up.
Okay.
That would not hold up here.
Okay.
Impervious surfaces only hold up when they're flat and they have good drainage and everything
Well, I
else.
meant pervious surface, that's what.
I mean, pervious
that's what-
pavement,
and you
no.
meant- We meant the same thing, but I
Yeah.
meant.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
We don't actually have subsurface soil conditions that really would allow that here.
really?
You need really sandy percolating soils to be able to take,
Okay,
and either that or we're gonna build it up for 2 feet and have it all stored and then freeze
which is
and.
ridiculous, yeah. Okay.
Not gonna work.
Unfortunately, I was afraid, I figured that would be the answer.
Yeah.
One of that.
Alright, anything else? All those in favor? Opposed? None. New business, let's talk about the tank.
Thanks.
We talked about it, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
Well, I just, now, yeah, we'll just kind of give a brief again, you found it, it's an oil tank, it's DP's involved.
No,
No, they won't be
Not
involved.
yet. Hasn't done anything.
no, not necessarily.
Yeah, we talked to start.
So who do you want me to sit? I'll
Is this
sit.
not
Yeah.
legal?
Right there.
Okay, so the tank is a fuel oil storage tank. It's 11 feet long, it's 4 foot in diameter, it's got about 2 feet of liquid in it that is not heating oil, it's more water with a oily residue in it, from what we can see. There's no odor. It's directly associated with 328 Main Street, which is Ed Hoffman's building. It's totally on his property. We confirmed that by the survey that was done for the Central Street parking lot. We just didn't have the plans out there at the time when it was found, so to be able to confirm where the property line was. But after looking at the property line, I'm 100% convinced. And so is the engineer, GCG engineer, because he called me at 4:30 and said, Heather, that's not on our property. I said, yeah, I just found that out about an hour ago. So we're all in agreement. They have been notified. As you know, as you may have known, Ed is actually medically had some issues, so he's not really available. But I talked to his secretary, made her aware today. Andy went with me. she was a little bit floored. I recommended she talk to somebody I knew was Ed's friend, and I know that through him and talking to him tonight, which was Dan Flynn, he has recommended that she contact a couple different people to get the tank removed. He told her that it would have had to be removed with a sale, that it was better that it was found now. He explained to her that it really isn't that big of a deal, that yes, we can't tell the cost until we actually remove it because it depends on how much soils, but he goes, no matter what was happening, it was gonna have to be done. So I think that was helpful because he kind of calmed that whole situation down. And I talked to him, he's like, I said, okay, I told him that fire department would be sending a letter and that they need to get permits out of there. And he said, yep, that's fine. He understood all that. And that they were moving forward with talking to different contractors to get quotes on how to remove it. And I told him that if he needed any assistance with the coordination or if they needed assistance to call me, and I'm sure that the contractors there would be more than willing to be able to allow them to get in there to take the tank out and do all the sampling. So, as far as I'm concerned, other than getting the fire department some documentation that it is not on our property, which is what they wanted to attach when they sent the letter, our hands were done, other than asking them to move relatively quickly on it so that we can finish the project. But I also know from where it is, yes, it's going to stop us from putting a section of the curbing in, which will probably not allow us to pave maybe quite as close as we'd like to. It's a very small area, they can work around it. If we have to include it in phase 2 next year, that would be fine. But at this time, it still could be done. I mean, it literally could be done this weekend and I wouldn't, we'd be able to get right back in there. So I think that's still to be determined.
So Heather, real quick, is this any easement area of?
It's in an easement area that we already had, I believe, because it was a previous easement. The reason why we thought it was town property is because the previous parking lot and the previous sidewalk, it was under the sidewalk. Okay? So it was already a previous easement from way back that we've had as a right of way for the parking lot. So we already have that easement in place. There's probably temporary construction easements all around that area because they were disturbing it, but it's did he know it was there? He might not, he never known. The building was probably sold with it already buried and not even anybody ever caring about it. And 20 years ago or 10 years ago when they changed out the heating system, it's even possible they didn't even have to take out the tank. But once you know about it and it hasn't been in use for 5 years, it is a state statute that they have to take it out.
Okay, just tell that.
So we did have a partial discussion about DEP. There's no
But
DEP
I've
requirement right now?
confirmed multiple times with different people.
Okay, because we were.
Yep, and so I actually went online. So when it's a heating oil tank, residential heating oil tanks are exempt until you find evidence of a
Oh,
spill.
that's good.
Okay.
If there's evidence of a spill when they take it out, meaning they have soils that are contaminated, then at that time it will be reported as a spill. Not until then, because we don't have any evidence of a spill, we didn't have any odor, we didn't have anything, we don't have stained soil, we don't have any of that yet. So we don't have to report it.
So when they remove it, will one of your people be there or one of the contractors that are over there to kind of see it? Because you said like they can move it tomorrow, but how will we know a spill happened?
So we don't have to totally worry about that
Yeah,
because they have to hire what's called an LSP, a licensed site professional.
Okay.
And they have to hire that, that's part of the permit requirements, and they know that.
Just to
They already know.
remove it, they need a.
They have to have an LSP
Okay.
to be able to do the soil sampling and tell them that the site is clean.
Thank you.
And they sign off on it being clean. So
Thank you.
it's not our liability, it's all
It's all
on
there.
them. It's all part of that permit from the fire department, so the fire department will be the ones who really have the oversight.
Understood, thank you.
Yeah, good job. I wonder how that worked out.
Mr. Duke?
So they don't have to report the soil?
If it's contaminated, they have to report it.
If it's not, they don't, though, they don't, okay,
So the LSP will have to work with.
The LSP would work with that.
Test it and see
okay.
before they do it, right?
And then if it is, then that's a whole different, because then you have to.
Then they do more of an area until it's clean.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the LSP has to report to DEP whatever's going
Yeah.
on, so.
So is it a large cost for the permit fee for?
I don't know, I didn't ask. He told,
I
because
don't know
when we,
if
and I
the-
thought we were gonna have to do it, he already said, well, it's a town project, we'll waive the fee. So it's there is a fee associated with getting the permit, but I don't know what it is.
Just to correct, if it was a town project, a town land would waive fee, but we don't waive the fee for private property owners on private land, so.
Right.
the
Okay,
fee will not be
even if
waived in
it's
this
part,
case.
I mean,
No.
holding up, we don't have to take that into consideration. Okay.
Anything else?
Just beyond clarifications, that you said you thought it wasn't particularly an issue for nuisance brook, are you sure it's not within 100 feet of it?
Oh, it's definitely within 100 feet of it,
Yes,
but
that means they do have to file with Concom then. Because the nuisance brook is considered a water right.
I know, but we already have an active conservation permit there. We don't believe it's doing anything into nuisance brook. It's not going to be getting able to get into nuisance
No,
brook.
no, no,
because-
it's not our permit, he would have to file for his own permit to do it though, because it's his own project. It's something completely unrelated. I think he would have to file. But I'm not conservation.
That's what the LSP.
He needs to ask about it, he needs to look into that though. It's not, it doesn't affect us either way.
No, it will affect us if it delays the project.
Maybe.
The LSP would know that, but the LSP's gonna look at that issue.
Well, will they
when
know about
the
Concom,
contractor
whether or not
takes
they
over,
should?
won't he?
They're not gonna know that there's a brook underneath there. So when they file the permits and they get somebody, we'll talk to them about it, but they may have to just file for an emergency permit. Emergency action to get it out.
Mhm.
It's not going to cause an erosion issue into the brook.
No, I know that.
And that's part of the COMCOM requirements. Can it actually impact the brook? When we were doing work, we could impact the brook
No, I
because we
know.
were in the
No, I
brook.
know that. Yeah,
But-
I get that.
COMCOM really doesn't have jurisdiction if it can't impact it. And because of where it is, it can't really impact it. Because it's below grade.
These things are
Well,
just
it-
nightmares. It's easier to dig up Jimmy Hoffa than it is.
This is true.
No, I'm serious.
This is
Then,
true.
I
I
mean,
agree with
when
you.
we were doing our police station,
I agree
I
with
think
you
we
too.
found 5 of them. And we had no clue that were there.
Oh, really?
Disaster.
You got new dirt under there, I guess.
Oh,
I had
All right, anything else on this at all? Any other new business?
I just want to mention that I'll be coming before this subcommittee again as soon as we can schedule another meeting.
Yep.
Because I have a contract with CMRPC, who's actually, it's related to our discussion about CDBG. This is the 4th year. They'll be submitting our grant for us. We don't spend any money out of our pocket. We get $3,000 out of every grant that can be used for someone to submit a grant. And then, in addition, we get what's called local technical assistance. So we have 15 hours right now that we can use, and together with those hours, they will do the grant, so we don't have to actually pay any money.
That's nice.
The question there is, it's an actual contract between us and CMRPC, correct?
Yes.
Right.
So that's why it's.
They'll get the money
it's a
from them, not
service
us, yeah.
contract, so it's gotta go through the process.
Right,
So-
right, that's what they're there for, yeah.
So what did you say, they'll get the money what?
They'll get their money, no, they're gonna get it through the state, right?
Yeah.
They'll get the state, they'll,
They submit their
enough
bill
us.
to us, and we
Right.
pay them $3,000 out
it'll
of
be,
the grant.
it'll be.
And then the $1,050, because the whole thing is like $4,050, will be paid for in the hours that we have
Okay.
available in services.
Mhm.
So there's no money that's going to come out of the town's coffers.
Got it, okay.
But I would
I know we
imagine
discussed
still
that
want to
before
go
about
through
CMRPC.
both P&D subcommittee
Mhm.
to look at it and then go to town council,
Okay,
right?
so what, okay, we can talk off the side,
Okay.
figure out a date.
I just wanted to mention it because it's something that I'll have to do.
Thank you.
I'd like to do
We
quickly.
can talk about it.
What's the town's annual assessment to our CMRPC?
Oh, I don't know, off the top of my head, I have no idea.
No, no.
I have no idea.
Any new business, any other new business? Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor? Opposed?
Hey,
3-0
I did have
pass.
that
Just a
choice.
quick comment.
Oh, hold on a second, let
There
me,
is a